All of our trains and stations are no smoking areas. Please do not smoke until you have left the station premises.
Ululations. An ululation is a long, wavering, high-pitched vocal sound resembling a howl with a trilling quality. It's produced by emitting a high-pitched, loud voice accompanied with a rapid back-and-forth movement of the tongue and the uvula. Mae ululations yn gyhoeddiad mewn print a sain o sgwennu newydd sbon gan Kandace Siobhan Walker, Morais a Jordão, gyda chyfeithiadau creadigol gan Elan Grug Muse, wedi gynhyrchu gan Peak Cymru gyda Freya Dooley a El-khatib. Mae'r llyfryn yn ymateb aml-leisiol i Creating Dangerously, We, I Insist gan Alberta Whittle, trioleg o ffilmiau sy'n cael ei arddangos yn ystod haf 2021 ar Platfform 2, gofod celfyddydol newydd ar ochr ddeheuol gorsaf dren Abergavenny ar ymyl y mynyddydd Duon. Ululations is a publication in print and sound of newly commissioned writing by Kandace Siobhan Walker, Morais and Jordão, with creative translations by Elan Grug Muse, produced by Peak Cymru with Freya Dooley and El-khatib. The publication is a polyphonic response to Alberta Whittle's Creating Dangerously, We, I Insist, a trilogy of films screened during summer 2021 at Platform 2, a new cultural space on the southbound side of Abergavenny Train Station on the edge of the Black Mountains. In the words of Alberta Whittle, after a devastating 18 months of socio-political catastrophe, Creating Dangerously, We, I Insist, speculates on the optics of protest and channels of refusal, as well as the desire for pleasure and softness. Researched and produced as urgent meditations on freedom, this trilogy of films attempts to straddle a sense of looking back and looking forward, while still being immersed in both epidemiological and political strife. Rydym yn hynod falch i gyflwyno'r gasgliad hon o sgwennu newydd sy'n cwmpasu barddoniaeth, ffuglen a'r ysgrif, a phob darn yn cymuno ar drioleg o ffilmiau gan lynu at ei naws polyphonic. Mae dilyniant gerddi newydd gan Kandace Siobhan Walker, sgwennwr ac artist ffilm a fagwyd ym Mân y Brycheiniog, yn ymdrin â sensitifrwydd a gonestrwydd gyda themau'r ffilmiau o brotest, llawenydd a dicter. Wastad mewn cyd-safiad gyda'r beirdd cwsg sy'n alltyd o fro breuddwydion. Stori fer Gymraeg wreiddiol gyfrannodd y sgwennwr o Gaerdydd, Morais, sydd rhan amlaf wedi sgwennu ar gyfer theatr a ffuglen. Mae ar goll yn orlawn adalweddaeth swynol, cain o golled a hiraeth. Mae Jordão, sgwennwr, biolegydd creadigol ac addysgwr ar y coleg, wedi gynhyrchu ysgrif amlheinog wedi ei leoli yng nghyryntau chwyldroadol Aberta Ffrindyfi, gan gymryd narratifs dyfrllyd ffilmiau Alberta Whittle i gyfeiriadau annisgwyl, cynhyrchiol. We're pleased to present this assembly of new writing spanning poetry, fiction and essay, each piece communing with Whittle's trilogy and staying faithful to its multivocal drive. New poems by Kandace Siobhan Walker, a writer and filmmaker raised in the Brecon Beacons, speak with great sensitivity and candour to the film's themes of protest, joy and fury, always in solidarity with the dreamers shut out of the dreaming places. The Cardiff-based writer Morais, who has previously written for theatre and fiction, responds with a Welsh-language prose poem filled with delicately haunting imagery of loss and longing, identity and survival. Jordão, a writer, creative biologist and educator on ecology, has produced a far-reaching essay situated in the swirling currents of the Dyfi Valley estuary, channeling the watery narratives of Whittle's films in generative, unexpected directions. Cychwyn yw ululations, sydd wedi codi o waith yr artist Barbadian Albanaidd Alberta Whittle o ganlyniad i wahoddiad gan Art Night i gyflwyno gwaith ar Platfform 2. Rydym yn ddiolchgar tu hwnt i Kandace Siobhan Walker, Morais a Jordão am eu hymatebion hael ac i Elan Grug Muse, bardd a chyd sylfaenydd y stamp yn dod â phob math o haenau newydd i'r gwaith gyda chyfeithiadau creadigol. Ululations is a beginning, generated from the work of Barbadian-Scottish artist Alberta Whittle and an invitation from Art Night to host this work at Platform 2. We're grateful to Kandace Siobhan Walker, Morais and Jordão for their responses, and to Elan Grug Muse, poet and co-founding editor of A Stamp, for bringing new resonances to each work through creative translation.
Depths and peace. Breathwork is anti-adhesive. I have come apart. Solidarity with the starlings in the murmuration. Solidarity with the birdsong. Solidarity with the electrons returning to nothing, everything. Towards a physics of peace. Everything is its opposite. Blackness is levitating and falling. Ontologies of disharmony, dancing, silence now, sound. Voices now, voice. Solidarity with the dreamers shut out of the dreaming places, with the aura and the cloud. Solidarity with the fire and the flame. Away from a biology of the embattled. To rest is to wake. I am going, coming home. Now all. Everyday ululations. In the streets. Red carnations shy at the feet of the pyramid. People who want nothing but the risen dead, undisturbed earth. Red and beating, bells ringing through the earth. Viewed from the sky, the protest is a hearse, a black river, an oblation. Liquor on the pavement, libations. For the agents and the avatars of decay. For the reluctant saints early to the cascade. In the dailies, what next war, what next grief? It is our duty to win. No peace, no peace.
Pan vidi mor, in digon di, when the sea is black enough. To know yourself as a body of water is to hold the histories of becoming and the mysteries of being. To hold simultaneously ancestral lineages and further possibilities for unraveling. To know racism is to hold that we ride the same sea, just not the same boat. We cannot outrun racism with exemplary behavior and good performance. Moral minorities, meritocracy, respectability, and good behavior provide no safety nets for bodies maneuvering the world in certain skin colors, accents, hair textures. Some fall through, some get caught. We can't swim out of whiteness any more than black bodies can slip out of the inheritance of violence. It takes furious action, sustained exertion, and conscious effort. Precise, jerky movements in a trance-inducing dance with control show the amount of contortion required to survive. The story of not being able to breathe is very old indeed. Fetishized, commodified, misrepresented, gaslighted, sacrificed. The tropes are tired, worn thin, bankrupt. Imagination remains as a possible way through. Heading out to sea, seeking new ground in shifting terrain, a different stability and fluidity. Learn to read the surface, anticipate movements, identify forces, and watch flows. Go beneath the surface, into the deep. This wound is so deep. So is the work to repair and weave a mesh that will hold us whole. Water body weaves me in. Speak to my heart with your breath. Lend your might to this spell for repair. The turning of this tide will not be denied. Irava is a place in perpetual motion, Kegiravon that cannot stop breathing. An embodiment of extreme conditions for survival, a liminal meeting point where currents meet, waters melt, and seemingly the entire enormity of the ocean pours with rhythmic predictability. Drifting out, slipping in. Meandering the soft underwater floor in an ambulatory dream walk along an unmapped route where spontaneity dances with boundaries. Standing on waterland, seeing into the deep. Drifting into this beating heart and breathing mouth. Longing for a way through the ongoing disposition, summoning this elemental power for an opening, Kegi Galon channeling the flood. Longing for this confluence or convergence, Kamer Negid Gidviliad, for the power of the multitudes. Did white become a default at the same time as man in the same place on earth? Could we situate ourselves through Durdi? Orienting from door underscores a tacit unknowability, unleashes a drift, a wariness of repetition, a memory of interconnected pasts. Orienting towards D is unpacking a set of cultural codes such as the cult of purity, superiority, exceptionalism, and fragility, and welcoming some element of danger, unafraid of the depth. Irdwiven irwober. Rotting detritus drifts past. Scuttling fish caress the feet. Standing still in a body of water, alone with time. Ima is an entangled scape, an enlargement space, a mesh of many layers of timescales harboring relationships to a spectrum of emotion. From disgust and shame to elation and release, connecting threads of history through colonialism, capitalism, and migration, creating physical and imaginary access to a beyond, a new. There is so much to find in this nothing. Steady it starts, the rising pulse of the tide. Impossible to grasp the force behind this momentum, uncanny to imagine. That I can comprehend. Feel it I must. I can feel the loss of this moment, where I won't be able to enforce my presence any longer. I'll be urged to shift, change, soon. Looking in from this fleeting stillness in Tiradur, wondering what it would take to anchor here, to ground from here, to stay with this charged, stressful uncertainty until the potential feels right for becoming. I imagine all those marbles falling hard and landing with a muffled thud on the soft black mud where they are stroked by the rushing underwater swell, nestled in the nurture of amniotic fluid. Away from which here? Away to what where? What else is there? We can do better than this. The materiality of this space is fluid, strange, open and expansive, and yet it remains a hostile environment. Attentiveness is required, for the speed and pace of the inevitable flood is safer witnessed from shore. Getting lost at sea is a possibility. To keep fear at a respectful distance, I focus on sound. The baseline sonic signature of the magnetic field around the planet we call Earth, that is mostly made up of water, is 7.83 Hz. This is in the theta range of human brainwave activity, associated with creativity, intuition, and slowness. This is the range of the binaural beats of crashing waves, thunderstorms, hail, and rain. The performativity and resonant quality of sound make it possible to feel the way a sound or a song have roots in other times, different places. Sound travels through space in waves affected by diffraction, encounters that diffuse, dissipate, distort. Songs and singing forms travel through time and are passed down lineages of resistance and celebration as key technologies and tools for processing actual oceans of emotion. Alberta reminds us that symbolic acts can be made literal through action guided by belief. We are called in to consider our beliefs, to dismantle hierarchies, take a moment to breathe, choose love, insist and resist, to be bodies in a place, accept the unraveling and invite the unknowing. Croeso in divender. Beating hearts and breathing lungs, ubiquitous conditions for human survival. We belong to each other as much as any place, and still you cannot help finding yourself alone. Whose world is this? Who is this world for? The ocean is one of the most defining forms here, and we live with our backs turned to it. In the wake, the form of the wave, the ripple and dynamic equilibrium of the tide, we and I, simultaneously always at once, both collective and individual, can blur the lines of monolith narratives and reject simple explanations to hold all the points of view at once. We won't all want the same things. Quoting Audre Lorde, it is not difference which immobilizes us, but silence, and there are so many silences to be broken. Will it be safe when the sea is black enough? I come across what must be my own footprints. Deep holes in the soft sand with 5 toes pointing south. Sisyphean disorientation maps a familiar line of inquiring self-doubt. In this vast space, with no determined paths, only events and possibilities, I found my way to the same place. What difference does it make? Is there a resolution? Then laughter and a resounding full body, yes. Calculus is the mathematical study of rates of change, charted through constant infinitesimals. I've drawn a very flawed full circle, and my feet are black from the rich mineral mud of the sea floor.
Living in hope. Washing hands as amnesia, imperialism as water crossing, the unmooring. Sing happy birthday for 20 seconds, another year, sing salt water. Resist memory, embrace the calcification of memory. Institutional ignorance and thoughtlessness. Antonym, observe. Antonym, care. Something we must do together. Keep each other alive just long enough. The dance hall is the wailing. Pageantry will not save the aliens, but we will preserve of ourselves anything we can. Stay for a drink, stay until dawn. We know all about the master's tools. We know all about the burning house. Dominion or colonial origin, I will not be cast in bronze. I will not be toppled from my plinth. I will not be raised to a plinth. It is a weeping and a moaning and a gnashing of teeth. Explain justice to an architecture without conscience, none. Explain history to a sinking man, dirty hands grasping at ghosts. I will be left molten, endless, endless marching, waving from the passenger deck.
Argall. Dwi'n chwilio am fy chwaer, neithiwr redodd hi'r traeth. Gwyliais i hi'n tynnu ei sgidiau yn gadael nhw ar y tywod. Gwyliais i hi'n tynnu ei dillad. Gwyliais i hi'n tynnu ei gwallt. Safodd fy chwaer wrth ymyl y môr a defnyddiodd ei gwallt i greu rhaff. Safodd fy chwaer wrth ymyl y môr a rhoddodd y rhaff mewn i'w cheg a diflannodd y blethen i lawr mewn iddi. Safodd fy chwaer wrth ymyl y môr gyda rhaff gwallt yn ymestyn o'i thafod i mewn i'r tonau a dechreuodd hi ganu. Roedd ei chan yn beth tywyll ac isel ac eiraidd. Roedd ei chan yn arogli fel pridd ac yn dod allan ohoni fel cwestiwn. Roedd ei chan yn un llwglyd. Doedd dim ateb i'w cwestiwn. O geg fy chwaer cwympodd y gan rolio fel cerig ac i mewn i'r dŵr aeth ei llais. Roedd ei gwefusau'n troi'n las. Cymrodd gam. Daliodd y cymylau ei hanadl. Llithrodd y dŵr i'w ffengliniau. Brathodd y mellt y cymylau. Daeth glaw fel diferion gwaed, fel cawr yn slyfoerio. Daliodd y tonau yng ngwallt fy chwaer gan dynnu hi mewn i'r dŵr. Cymrodd anadl. Closiodd y tonau ati yn ymestyn breichiau fel cwrlyd llaeth. Cymrodd anadl. Cerddodd y chwaer i mewn i'r dŵr. Uwch ben cododd y lleiad oren. Roedd y môr yn ddrych elastig. Dwi'n chwilio am fy mam. Deffrais o drwmgwsg oer gyda'i henw ar fy nhafod. Yn y gegin eisteddodd fy mam wrth y bwrdd. Roedd y golau yn y bwlb yn blincio, on ac off, on ac off. Anadlodd fy mam mewn a mas, mewn a mas. Cododd ei stumog crwn, ac i lawr. O gwmpas ei hysgwyddau, llusgodd neidr llyfn. Gwelais fus fy mam mewn powlen dwfn yn troelli a throelli. Cropiais y nes. Yn y powlen dwfn gorweddau marblis gwyrdd yn blincio on ac off. Edrychais i fyw ei llygaid. Cododd y neidr ei ffen a sibrydodd yng nghlist fy mam. Agorodd fy mam ei gwefusau glas ac allan roliodd marblis gwyrdd gyda sŵn fel taranau, sŵn fel y môr. Roedd gen i wacter byrlymus yn fy stumog. Cymrais i gam ymlaen. Codais fy llaw. I mewn i fy llaw cwympodd y marblis. Trodd nhw i dywod yn fy llaw. Sibrydodd y neidr. Cododd fy mam ei bysedd i'w cheg. O'i cheg daeth 100, 200, 300. Gorweddodd y danedd yn fy llaw, y nerfau bach yn llyfn ac yn sibrwd ar fy nghroen. Teimlais y gorchymyn. Agorais fy ngheg a gwennais. Dwi'n chwilio am fy nghorff. Cerddaf mewn môr o laswellt melyn. Mae'r awyr yn liw sydd ddim yn liw. I mewn i sodlau fy nhraed mae'r glaswellt yn dringo. Dwi'n cerdded ar fy nwylo yn gwylio'r awyr yn dechrau lle mae fy nghoesau'n stopio. Does dim amser, dim anadl, dim ond fy chwys yn cwympo fel y glaw. Yn y glaswellt fôr mae camlas o ddŵr cynnes. Dwi'n eistedd yng nghanol y dŵr ac yn teimlo fy hun yn troi i dywod. Mae'r gwair yn cribo fy ngwallt yn llenwi fy mol. Dwi wedi blino. Dwi'n hedfan I ffwrdd fel llydw. Dwi'n chwilio am fy hun. Pan dwi'n cysgu, dwi'n gweld fy hun yn rhedeg, yn 5 mlwydd oed, fy het Gymreig yn bwnsio ar fy nghefn, yn rhedeg I fewn i'r tywyllwch. Pan dwi'n breuddwydio, dwi'n gweld manti a les fy nain yn hongian uwchben y silff tân, yn arogli tomato yn coginio, pigo blodau o'i hen bapur wal gyda fe y wynedd. Dwi'n gorwedd yn y gwely yn gaeth I sgrin. Dwi'n estyn 1 bus ac yn teimlo os mae fy nanydd yn siglo. Dwi eisiau brathu. I lawr wrth y môr mae'r coed hynafol wedi troi'n ddu gyda chyffyrddiad o dŵr. O dan y tywod mae pethau'n tyfu. Efallai mewn canrif, mewn millenniwm, ar ôl I bawb orffwys eu pennau am y tro olaf, bydd pethau newydd yn ymestyn allan o'r pridd ac yn gweld sut buon ni'n byw. Gweld pa mor flynedig oeddwn ni gyd. Sut deimlad fydd yn cwympo ar eu hysgwyddau wedyn? Cynhesrwydd? Trieni? Rhwystredigaeth? Dwi'n boddi oddi tan o fe nawr. Mae'r tywod yn oer rhwng fy mysedd. Cyfeis fy ngeni I weithio, I ddod adre o ddiwrnod hir a cael drws yn dawel ar fy ôl, I gymryd 1 anadl dwfn, I gyfri 5 peth dwi'n gweld, 4 peth dwi'n cyffwrdd, 3 peth dwi'n clywed, 2 beth dwi'n arogli, 1 peth dwi'n blasu. A pam ydw i'n blasu metal bob tro?
Low like thunder, high like flames. Praise hands to the sky, praise the uprising standing bells, praise the targeted and profiled. Do you own what you own? Are you owned? Do you have a legal purpose, i.e., are you possessor or are you the possessed? Do you have the right to be here? Start with the birth of surveillance in the rice and cotton fields, the overseer. Implies the overseen. Later, the vagrant, the loiterer. The punishment is not for doing, but for being. On violence, are you anticipated or anticipating? On intelligence, are you receiving or received? The definition of a boundary is 2 actors. A diagram of order is a circle within another, wider, membranous circle. The rules do not abide by logic. Rules are just the dictates of power. Praise the foaming waves, praise the whispering leaves, praise the trainers on the street and the telephone wires. Praise the activists on the factory roof, praise Operation Cease, praise disruption, praise smoke bombs and chants, prayer, praise everything that breathes and touches the sky, carnival from the ground, migration to a satellite.
Mae fersiwn sain Ululations yn cynnwys lleisiau'r cyd-olygydd Dylan Huw a'r cyfranwyr Kandace Siobhan Walker, Morais a Jordão, ynghyd â recordiadau maes o Gomisiwn Art Night 2021 Alberta Whittle, Holding the Line, a refrain in 2 parts, ar Platfform 2. Hoffai Peak ddiolch o galon I Alberta Whittle Art Night, Drefnidiaeth Cymru a Chyngor Celfyddau Cymru. The audio version of Ululations features the voices of co-editor Dylan Huw and contributors Kandace Siobhan Walker, Morais and Jordão, alongside field recordings of Alberta Whittle's Art Night 2021 commission, Holding the Line, a refrain in 2 parts, at Platform 2. With gratitude to Alberta Whittle, Art Night, Transport for Wales and Arts Council Wales.